I have on many occasions come across various different phrases such as "I do not consent," or "acts are not law," or "legislation is not law," or "that is just legislation, it's not law," or "you are talking about legal, not lawful," or vice versa. All of these scream some kind of confusion, so through mild reluctance and somewhat gritted teeth, that is what I'm talking about today. But first of all, if you're new to me and my channel, I'm a barrister who helps you understand law. So please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. I answer your questions in the comments over at Black Belt Secrets, linked below, and I do live streams on Sundays. And if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm on Instagram for your DMs. You need to follow me first before you can send me a message. So there's an awful lot of material flying around online about Acts of Parliament not being law and not being applicable to you unless you consent to it, or unless there's some valid contract that is signed by you. The worst of which talk about council tax and how you don't have to pay it unless you've signed a contract. All that's going to do is end up with you being chased for council tax, end up bankrupt, or in some cases being imprisoned because you've refused to pay it. It's not just on my channel here that I've seen comments about this, but I've seen websites about it, I've seen YouTube videos about it, I've even seen petitions sent to Parliament about it, although Parliament rejected that petition outright. But like many things, there is some kind of history to all this. It didn't just come out of nowhere. But very often this history is misunderstood, misapplied, or small sections of it are read without any context or reference to anything else, and therefore completely misses the point. There is indeed a very real concept of the consent of the governed, or the consent to be governed, but it doesn't apply in the way most people seem to think it does in the modern day. The earliest references to the phrase consent of the governed seem to date back to the late 13th century in the writings of a Scottish Catholic priest, whilst the more recent references in terms of government date back to the philosophical writings of John Locke in the early 1700s. Locke's theories of government versus liberty helped to shape the United States Constitution and Declaration of Independence, but were never incorporated into the UK. The UK closest equivalent is the Bill of Rights or Magna Carta. However, both of these are also widely misconstrued, misunderstood, and misquoted in modern times. And without this video turning into a full-on history lesson, the basic position in the UK is that we have a democratic system of government whereby the collective consent of the people is represented by ministers in Parliament, which allows decisions to be made and followed through, even to the dissent of a few minority voters. The idea being that if enough people lose confidence in a particular government, then they can vote to replace that government with another party. So when people talk about withdrawing their consent to be governed in the UK, it would be more accurate to say that they are renouncing their British citizenship or British status. And as with most things I talk about on this channel, that is not entirely straightforward. But then of course it's important to talk about the differences between British citizenship, British nationality, and what is a British subject. So going back in time somewhat, until 1949, almost everyone with some kind of close connection to the United Kingdom was known as a British subject, and all citizens of Commonwealth countries were referred to as British subjects until 1983, although in and of itself this was not an official status. In modern times, however, the two primary active classes of British nationality are British citizens and British Overseas Territories citizens. The obvious thing about British citizenship, of course, is that you can live and work in the UK free of immigration controls, and you can get a British passport. And along with this, of course, subject to various rules and being over 18 and being registered, you have the right to vote in elections. Hence you are taking part in what you can think of as the UK equivalent of the common consent to be governed. So if someone did have the desire to withdraw their consent to be governed, what they are really most likely talking about is giving up their British citizenship, which you can only do in one of the two following situations. Either you already have another citizenship or nationality, or secondly, you're going to get one as soon as you give up your British citizenship. You must also be 18 years or older unless you are married and under 18, and you must be of sound mind. Although even if you're not of sound mind, it could be that someone else makes this decision for you if it's in your best interests. Having given up or renounced your British citizenship, you will then lose the right to vote, and you will have effectively withdrawn your consent to be governed. But this also affects your right to live in the United Kingdom. Because of course, if you don't have your British citizenship anymore, you will be subject to immigration control, meaning you will need to be here on some kind of visa. You may in theory be able to apply for indefinite leave to remain as a non-citizen, but along with that would also come the requirement to comply with the laws of the United Kingdom. So whether you remain a British citizen or you leave and come back into the UK on some kind of visa, or you apply for indefinite leave to remain in the UK, either of those scenarios you are going to have to comply with the laws of the United Kingdom. There is no way of simply withdrawing your consent and declaring that none of these laws apply to you. So I strongly urge everybody watching this video to think very carefully about any articles or videos or comments that you read about certain laws not applying if you simply make a declaration that those laws don't apply to you. The likelihood is you're going to get arrested in certain situations, you're going to get fined in certain situations, and if you don't pay those fines, you're likely to be sent to prison, and you're not going to be given very much of a choice about any of this. So I hate to burst any bubbles or shatter any air of mystery, but it is simply not possible to withdraw your consent to be governed and thus declare that these laws do not apply to you whilst you are living in the United Kingdom. But all the same, I hope this video was interesting to you. Do leave your comments and questions down below. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.